So, welcome to Limitless You Talk with me, Katie, and I am very excited for today. Very, very excited. Like it's kind of like an early Christmas a little bit when this happens. So, I'm delighted today to be joined by Elisha Scott, who is a fellow coach, PT, and also owner of Stronger Gym up in Stirling. There we go,
Yes.
got it right. Well done, Katie. Well done. So I've kind of followed Alicia for quite a few years now. And I would say before we started this, a fellow women coach, empowerment, everything like that, that just kind of keeps the momentum going for us women in this crazy world that we live in, as well as, the power of community, power of, good, positive well-being, and just trying to look after ourselves in a
Yeah.
better space. So I'm excited for us to chat a bit more about that. But Alicia, I just wanted to ask you kind of like, before we get started, like who you feel that you are as Alicia, if you were to give me a bit of a
Who do
background to
I
that.
feel that I am?
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. That is quite a tough question. I feel like I'm a giver. I want to give back. And I think that's what I bring into my coaching. And that's kind of the whole ethos when I opened this gym, is that I want to create a community. I want to educate. I love teaching. So it's been a big part of my life. From school, I did tutoring and things. Then I've taught other coaches. Obviously, being a PT, you educate people, and I wanted to bring that into my own gym. So I love giving back in that way. I love empowering people. I love being that kind of cheerleader for people, especially those who feel like they don't really have anyone cheering for them. So I like that. I like to, bring out the best in people as best as I can, and just show people that they are stronger than they think they are, mentally and physically. So yeah, a little positive cheerleader, I like to think of myself as.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And recently, of 2024, you opened your own gym called
Yes,
Stronger.
stronger,
Stronger.
yes.
And I wanted to ask you, like, and I think it kind of entails nicely from what you've just said about who you think about giving back and things. Like, why that word? What is significant about it? That's what was stuck. I was like, I love that word, so empowering. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, why?
So I use that word a lot in everyday life. And I find that, I do CrossFit and I train, and I feel like I find myself saying it so much. Like I say to people, you're stronger than you think you are, believe in yourself. And I just thought, when I was going through kind of names and things for the gym, it was really easy for me, because I was like, yeah, that kind of encompasses everything that I want to portray. People, strength mentally, physically, within themselves. And it's just a nice kind of powerful word. Be like, stronger, yes. I'm very much into getting women and people in general, but especially women, into weightlifting and, finding their strength and actually showing them, that they can be badass and lift a lot of weights, and that they're stronger than they
Yeah.
think they are. So I feel like I just always come back to that. You're stronger than you think you are. And it's just a nice little, it ties in all the marketing. It ties in really nicely with the word. So yeah, I just think it's a nice, powerful word, and encompasses just everything that I want to portray in the community that I've created.
I love that. And what do you feel then, empowering women especially, let's put it in
Yeah,
that context,
yeah.
and fellow women sitting here, like, if I'm stronger than I think that I am, to believe in myself a bit more, what does it take for me to be like my version, or anyone listening, I suppose,
Yeah.
their version of being stronger?
I think it's just, the gym is a great place to kind of transcend into your everyday life. So a lot of the time, when I'm teaching people how to lift or pick up a barbell for the first time, it's that belief in themselves. And I am that cheerleader for that person, to be like, well, you did this in the gym, so then it translates into your everyday life. So, you didn't think that you could pick up that barbell, you didn't think that you could do that weight. So next time when you're going for a job interview, or, you are capable of that. I think it kind of starts with taking a bit of a leap of faith. And if that's something that you feel like you don't have in yourself to start with, then getting a coach or getting a cheerleader, someone that does believe in you, whether that is a friend or family member, even just for support, and be like, right, I am going to take this leap. Joining the gym is probably the first step, the biggest and scariest step that a lot of people take. But I think sometimes it just takes that step for you to then unlock that kind of inner strength, to be like, yeah, okay, I have done that. I am actually stronger than I think they am. Yes, weights wise, but also in confidence, and being like, yep, I can do this, or I can do that, or I can take that leap to join the gym. Yeah, I can do this. I got this in my everyday life outside of the gym walls.
Yeah, because a lot of us are like, oh, I can't do that. I don't have time
Yeah,
for that. I don't this, I don't that. So, like,
totally.
we come with that. And I love how you said sometimes it's just about the step of like, for somebody joining the gym, like, I always think now, and especially watching such diverse type of people
Hmm.
that we have in our gyms, especially in
Yeah.
the UK, and people, taking and looking after themselves a lot more. They've done that hard step of actually just
Yes,
making the step to sign a form or make the sign up
literally.
happen. Like everything else, I
I
think, oh,
always
you've
say
done
that.
that, but yeah,
Yeah, the hardest thing is stepping into the gym. It's not even necessarily signing up to something, because people can do that on a whim, or where they feel particularly like, yes, okay, I'm going to do it. It's the actually then seeing that through and stepping through the gym door that very first time. That is the hardest part of any kind of gym journey. And I say it to every single member that walks in. I'm like, right, you've done the hard part. You're here.
yeah. I mean, it's not as scary as you think it is.
Yeah, exactly.
And as you say,
Totally.
it can be anything in life. And
Yeah,
something that I love is having a community, is not feeling like that you're alone.
yes.
Especially when I was dealing with bad mental health, like I thought I was alone for such a long
Yeah,
time, and that consumes you. So now
yeah,
it's like, I love how you called it being a cheerleader, and I'm like, I quite like that. I'm going to use that. I think I'm going to
yeah.
steal that. And something that I've seen from following you for a while is sometimes I've seen like your stories on Instagram and I'm like, right, Elisha looks like she's doing a class or she's taking a PT session, but she's holding a baby. Or
Yeah,
she's like, or like these children have came with their parent who's getting, and I'm like, but that's what it's all about. And I know some people are like,
yeah,
oh, kids' place is not in the gym, and I'm a member of a gym locally to where I am down in Ayrshire, and the kids are getting in at 14 now, and I'm like,
yeah,
I wish we had that.
yeah,
I'm sitting here as a 28-year-old and I'm thinking, if I had that at 14, maybe I would have been better at football. Maybe it would have contributed to things a little bit. Maybe it would have helped me, my mental health, in a different
yeah.
way at that time. So, like, how important is community? Apart from being a babysitter at the same time as coaching somebody.
I love it.
Like,
I love it. I get all the baby cuddles. Yeah, I mean, the bringing the kids into PT sessions and classes and things, I think it was so important. I mean, I've done that for most of my PT kind of career. But when I opened my gym, it was really important for me to put in a kids space. There's a lot of barriers to exercise, and childcare is a huge one.
mm,
And, I have plenty of clients that bring their kids in, and at first they're like, oh, but they'll run around, or they'll misbehave, or they'll cry. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. Even if it is a case of, for that hour, I hold the baby, or I entertain your child whilst kind of keeping one eye on you, coaching you,
yeah,
letting you just have a bit of a space for you time. I think that is so important. And it just removes that kind of that barrier of childcare, and lets a lot of mums get their identity back a little bit. I think it can be quite lonely, especially at that kind of first kind of postpartum stage, losing that identity. And I think it's really important to have that space where, right, okay, I can bring the kids in. I know that it doesn't matter if they cry or if they run off or whatever, it's just a nice safe space. But community is huge, and it is a massive part of my gym. I think you always perform better when you've got people, being a cheerleader and supporting you and being in your corner. And again, it helps with that kind of like unlocking your inner potential and your strength. And actually, it helps being consistent at the gym. And, it becomes a place that you want to go to, because you know that, oh, okay, I'll see this person next week. And, it's that shared kind of, oh, what did you lift last week? Or, oh, what did you do this week? And, it's just supporting each other. I do a lot of I do a mix. I do classes, I do PTs, I do small group PTs. And even this morning, actually, I had a small group PT session this morning, and there was a couple of people who had come to it for the first time, from transitioning from kind of one-to-one to small group PT. And it's so lovely, within the first couple of minutes, everyone's like, oh, hi, I'm this person, this is my first one. And everyone is so empowering and supportive, and I love that. And that is the kind of ethos that I wanted to create in this space. And now I know that if there's someone new, I'll be like, right, this is this person, and everyone takes them under their wing, and it's just lovely. It's so important because it just makes everyone feel like, they're not alone, and it's shared kind of experiences and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I love it. I love the community we have.
yeah, it's amazing, because without that, you might not see as many benefits as you'll have.
Yeah,
You're in the prime position where you see that, and even like
yeah,
that next generation, yes, you're holding them and they've got a
totally.
stinky nappy while you're holding them. But in years to come, if you're still in that position where you've got the gym, you've got stronger, it's like
Yeah,
you're actually having that effect, not just on,
yeah,
say, like a strong, empowered woman who's a parent,
yeah,
but their little girl. It's just it's so exciting.
It's so important as well. You know, I always say kids should see their parents working out to show them that the gym and movement doesn't have to be intimidating. And
Yeah,
actually, you know, I have a whole kids area, but it never gets used. The kids just drag the toys out onto the floor, or they'll want to get involved in whatever their parents are doing. So I have little dumbbells, I've got little barbells, I've got little kettlebells and slam balls, and they join in. And it's great. You know, one of my clients, she has 2 children now. So that's usually the baby that you see me holding,
yeah.
little Rowan. Her firstborn, Lottie was in here from 6 weeks, and Lottie is now nearly 3, and she
Wow.
comes, you know, every week. She's got her own little barbell, you know, she joins in with her mum, she cheers for her mum, and it's so lovely that she is growing up in that environment of knowing that the gym is a fun, welcoming space, and it's not that intimidating space that, I don't know about you, but that I grew up in. It was something that I
Yeah.
kind of was like, oh, I don't know, that seems really intimidating. And actually I didn't get into the gym until I was kind of 16-ish maybe, and even then I was like, don't know what I'm doing. So it was just a space I wasn't like, yeah, it's a welcoming, nice environment. It was never that for me growing up. So it's something I want to have an impact on.
Yeah, I was the same because I think you spoke about it in your Instagram quite a while ago.
Yeah,
And I was like, yeah, that's me. And as you say, like even when you did go to the gym, it was either treadmill or the
yeah,
bike, and you, oh, look at what that guy's doing over there, or look at him, right? Okay, I've
totally.
got to like go with this, but do, and I'd be like, I wouldn't even know what I was doing, and then like it's
Yeah,
all about the abs. You've got to go and do your core work on the floor. You got to
yeah,
do the sit
legs, bums
ups.
and tums.
Yeah, can't do any of that. So like, I still see it. I think we'll always see a part of it, and
Yeah,
like from your vast experience now, especially working with a lot of women, and what I've said, I always say that there's different types of women when in terms of coming to look after their well-being and mental health with it.
yeah,
Is like they're so blinkered with the goal that they've got.
yeah,
So like younger kind of women want like a certain body type or want to look a certain way, like that certain celebrity that they see. Or we've got the opposite end of the scale, which maybe the kind of more mature lady. I've got to be careful how, like my mum's age, which is kind of older. That when I used to work the gym floor, they would come in and they would be like, right, Katie, I need you to help me because the menopause is just, I've put
yeah,
on weight, I've done it. And I was like, yeah, but I'm not the solver of the menopause. And I was like, if we
yeah,
actually look at what you're doing every day, what your habits, your behaviours, like, if we stop talking about what you're saying and the negative ways you're talking about yourself, like you're a strong, empowered woman. Like, don't be
yeah,
hard. And it's so easy to be hard on yourself, to be negative, to be all that sort of thing. So it's like, how can we, like, we are that generation that are trying to change that, and I
yeah.
think we'll always be. So from kind of a mental health well-being point of view, like, how can we do that? How can we use what we do every day right now to help that?
I think for coaches, it's very much leading by example. You know, my guys that come through the door, one of the first things I say to them is that I don't do before and after pictures. I don't get them to stand in their pants and take a photo. I don't get them to weigh themselves on the scales. You know, we don't take measurements. We measure in other ways, things like our lifting and our strength and our confidence and our happiness and all these kind of things. I think it's about getting them to change the language that you use, and just often saying, you know, you're going to have to not necessarily unlearn kind of behaviors, but be open to maybe changing the ways of how you look at things. So, you know, not using good and bad to describe food, not categorizing it, not saying I'm going to have a cheat day, or I'm not allowed that in my house, or this kind of thing. And same about talking about yourself, you know, very much talk about yourself how your best friend would talk about you, and you know, not be so harsh on yourself. It's hard. I think a lot of it comes to education as well. You know, I host kind of monthly talks and stuff, and for my clients I work with other coaches to kind of build their education and knowledge and introduce these kind of behaviors. And slowly but surely, you know, these kind of things change over time. It's just a time thing. It's generally educating people to be like, well, that's maybe not the best way to view yourself or to view food or anything, example. But yeah, it's hard. It's like undoing almost like a lifetime of behaviors for some people. And it is just trying to get them to see things in a different light. Especially with the view to exercise. You know, it's not, having a weight loss goal is absolutely fine, but it shouldn't be the only thing that you want to focus on when you come to the gym. And it's trying to make people see that. So
Yeah.
it's just, I kind of, you know, I practice what I preach as a coach, and I
Mhm.
think it's really important to do that.
I always say, yeah, that's fine. You've got weight loss goal, but I need to, like, I want to dig. Like, so let me
Yeah,
get my spade out and start digging. Like, that's all very well. And
totally.
from all your experience so far, like when you're having a kind of lower moment, or we all have them. Like,
Yeah,
what you say, you practice what you preach. So I'm really kind of, I suppose I'm curious from my own point of view,
yeah,
like
yeah.
what you do to help push you through, get you through, help your momentum go. Because obviously it would be great to be 100% every day, be sort of
Totally.
perfect world, but it's not realistic. So just curious, like what you do, how you practice what you preach within that.
Yeah, so I mean, there's certain things that I kind of, I don't use filters or anything on my Instagram. I'm very much I'll share if I'm having a crap day, or I'll share, all the bad photos. I actually make fun of myself all the time, and I think it's really important because we take ourselves way too seriously. And I
Yeah.
am the first to go all in on a sweaty selfie, or oh my God, why did my face look like that, and just share it. Things like that I think is really important, just to make people feel at ease, but just also to show that there's a normal person behind sometimes the facade that coaches can have on
Yeah.
Instagram. Other things, when I'm having a particularly kind of low mental health day, I'll do things and focus on things that fill my cup. I'm very good at kind of reflecting on, okay, why do I feel like this? What do I maybe need in this moment? Is it a bit of time off work? Do I need a little bit of space for myself? Do I need to say no to some things sometimes? And that's one that has especially been really important for me this year with opening the gym. I'm very much a yes person. Yeah, I'll do that. And then I'll be like, oh my God, I have way overloaded myself with all these kind of things. So
Mhm.
sometimes it's just learning to say no and to kind of put myself first sometimes. And even though sometimes I'm like, oh my God, that feels really selfish and I want to do this. And sometimes it is just learning to say no. Looking after myself, I think, is really important. One thing that is a non-negotiable for me before I sort out my PT slots and things for the week or my schedule, I'll put in my training, because I let that dip. Not last year, the year before, work came first. I would cancel training sessions and things to get PTs in, or I would do this, that, and the other for plans. And I ended up just not having a regular training schedule. And that's something for me that is now non-negotiable. So I will put in those slots every week. I'll sort out what CrossFit classes or whatever that I'm doing, what sessions and things I'm doing for myself when I'm going to run or whatever. And then I'll slot things around about that. So I make sure that I'm not taking on too much, that I'm also prioritizing me, my physical and my mental health. And that is really important, I think, for me. To sometimes say no and to put myself first, which I'm
It's the
learning.
hardest. Yeah,
It
it's the
is.
hardest thing to do. I'm trying to teach my mum how to do that, but as a 70-year-old woman, oh no, shouldn't have said nearly
Yeah.
70. It's hard to sometimes say no. So
Yeah.
I can very much relate to that. So from all of that, filling your own cup and everything like that, what benefits does it then have for you personally and professionally by you learning to do all that?
So I think it just makes me the best coach and the best person that I can be. If I am overworking myself, and don't get me wrong, there are days where I'm like, oh my God, I've taken on too much and I haven't said no or whatever. Like I'm not perfect and I'm still getting better at kind of trying to put myself first in some cases. But when I know that, I've got my non-negotiables in place, I've got my training plan, I have a very strict sleep routine now, which I never used to. I go to bed by a certain point, I read, I
Mhm.
set myself in a nice environment, then I go to sleep, and I put myself in that best position that I can. Sometimes I don't sleep, or sometimes, it's not the best, but at least I have that as a non-negotiable. I think it just, it increases my energy, my mood in general. And as I say, yeah, it just kind of allows me to perform as best as I can at everyday life when I kind of
As
just
crazy
take,
as it can
yeah,
be, yeah.
yeah, totally. Exactly. So yeah, as I say, there are still plenty of times where I have a few low days or whatever, but I do have those non-negotiables, and I use a lot of reflection to be like, right, okay, that wasn't a great week for me mentally, or, I'm not feeling at my best. What can I maybe put in place this coming week where just to help myself, basically, and to maybe put myself first or take a little slice out of my day for me. I think it's really important.
It's one that a lot of us forget to do.
Yeah.
My dad uses this expression, we spin plates.
Yep.
And I'm like, how many plates do we need to spin before we need to go and buy a new set of plates? Because we've used them all. So I
Yeah.
think, like, it's from all of that, like, we have to embrace who we are. Now,
Yeah.
some people will be listening to this being like, oh, here we go. One of
Yeah.
them. But it is like, if you say, so I'm the same as you, like, sometimes I'll go to bed like 8 o'clock. That is it. I will not speak
Yep.
to anyone unless there's like an emergency situation. I read my book. My alarm goes off at 9:15 p.m. at night. Since July 2024, and I've started journaling, or just starting
Yes.
like to get the shit out of my head that needs to come out before I go to sleep. Kind of
Yeah.
10 o'clock light goes out, or I put on a little podcast for half an hour to sort of subconsciously, consciously, you kind of
Yeah.
relax my mind. So I'm embracing who I am, so I can spin the plates that I need to spin. And then
Yeah.
sometimes think, oh God, how many? As you say, too many. So you know how like it's so hard for us women to sometimes embrace who we are because we're not confident in who we are. We don't think we're worthy. We don't think we're good enough.
Yeah.
We don't have time for it. We come up with a lot of things that, to me, almost justify the guilt that we then feel.
Yeah. We're the first things to go when things are tough, or when you have other priorities like children or friends or whoever that rely on you. We're often the first things to go. Our things like our nutrition slips or our sleep slips, or we don't go to the gym, we don't prioritize our own selves. And I think that is really important, to try and put yourself first, as selfish as sometimes it feels. You do have to have those non-negotiables, and just accept that it's not going to be perfect. People are like, oh, I've had a bad week at this, and I'm like, yeah, but I still saw you for 3 classes last week. So,
Yeah.
that's actually really, a few months ago, you weren't coming to the gym at all. So it's sometimes just realizing that you don't have to be perfect, even if it is just, okay, well, last week I managed to have a shower every day, or I managed to, get a gym session in, or, I managed to have something nutritious to eat at one point in the week, then that's fine. It's very much progress, not perfection. And I think sometimes we put too much pressure on ourselves with things.
We massively, massively do.
Yeah.
And I want, if we can put your teacher's hat on, because I know, and I've
Mhm.
had the pleasure of being taught by you, so I can, self satisfaction, put my hand up and say, I know exactly what Elisha like, your teacher. Very good, very much helped me, gave me a lot of inspiration and learning from my experience. So I wanted to use this to kind of allow you to put that hat on. So I thought we'd
Yeah.
do a couple of scenarios. So for the women that either comes to me or yourself coaching and be like, right, Katie, Elisha, I want to start something. I want to start something for myself. Time's a bit iffy. I'm just not feeling good in myself, but I want to be better. Someone that's got no confidence in who they are and who they can be by taking that on. So, how can you teach that person to create something for themselves or do something for themselves?
I mean, there's obviously a lot of questions for that person, but I think it would be dependent on what their actual current situation is. But something like just trying something new can be enough to kind of start that journey of boosting a little bit of confidence. So something like coming along to a class, or booking in a kind of a one-to-one PT, or even just taking some time back for themselves, whether that even looks like, going for a walk every day. That's your non-negotiable. Just go in or headphones out, doesn't matter. 10 minutes for a walk. Doing something like that, just having that space for themselves, I think is really important. But yeah, always trying something new. And if you feel like you can't do that yourself, grab a friend or enlist a coach. So that would be kind of my first starting point for someone, is just do something that almost like scares them a little bit, puts them out of that comfort zone, to A, show them that they can do it, but B, because they might actually discover something that they love. And then that starts them on a whole different path, a whole new journey. And the gym I think is a great place to start with that. But it doesn't even have to be the gym. It can be a class of something, some kind of craft or something. But yeah, something that's out with their comfort zone, something that scares them a little bit, is always a good starting point.
Yeah, my coach always says to me, "Get comfortable being uncomfortable," and
Yeah.
I will. Yeah, every time you've got a gym session, yeah. And for the person that, because there's a lot of us that do the diet thing for a wee while, they get holiday ready, summer
Yeah.
ready, or some people now are putting challenges in for certain parts of the year, or they've got a goal in mind thing. So the kind of inconsistent
Yeah.
individual, I think the way, how can we create more consistency within their life with that, instead of it just being for a certain goal?
For a certain time. Yeah. I mean, with the majority of my clients, we don't track any kind of calories. I'll always get them to keep a little bit of a food diary for me. Sometimes I think it's good to do that for just creating awareness of the kind of things that you're eating, and just increasing your kind of awareness of food and mindfulness and things about food. And again, just education and knowledge, because a lot of the time, and a lot of these kind of fad diets, no one, they're not learning anything. So they'll be like, okay, I need to eat this certain amount of calories, and then that'll make me lose this certain weight, and then I will do this again, in 6 months, and then, you know, it worked for me before, so I'm going back to that. But there's no education in that, you know, yeah, you can hit that certain number of calories, but what does that actually mean? So, you know, I'm very much building education and knowledge around food. And consistency wise, the one thing I always say to my clients is, where's your protein? I swear they'll have my voice in their head when they're eating their food, being like, right, where's your protein source in that? Because we know that we should be eating, you know, 3 regular kind of meals, fiber, protein, vitamins and minerals, so some kind of fruit and veg. So it usually is that kind of build your meals around a protein source, you know, in your breakfast. Where's your protein source? Is it going to be in your breakfast? Is it going to be at the side? Are you going to have it as like a mid-morning snack? And I think consistency wise, all you need to do is kind of think of that. And the rest kind of falls into place. You know, if you're looking after yourself in terms of, you're like, right, what kind of fruit and veg am I having with my meals? Where's my protein source? You build that kind of consistency in focusing on eating well, regular, often. And then with the education alongside it, you'll find it actually been really consistent. We're doing a plant challenge. I like to do a plant challenge a couple of times a year just to kind of bring it back to variety. So the aim is to get 30 different plants, so fruit, veg, nuts, seeds, all these kind of things, and actually just opens up your eyes and just kind of brings that awareness back to nutrients and getting these kind of things in your food, thinking about a little bit of variety if you don't have much variety in your diet, and just keeps it a little bit fresh. So yeah, it's not all about tracking calories. I think it's just thinking, you know, am I eating regularly? What is actually making up my meals? Am I actually thinking about what I'm eating? Am I being present with my food? And that all helps kind of build consistency.
Yeah, and it's not doing anything different. And I mean, it's not like
we're not
going to buy
reinventing.
something. Yeah, it's not going to buy something dodgy off the internet. It's not going to do something completely. It's just using what you do every day and just doing it a little bit better. That's why they always say about if you can be 1% better every day, like it really does work. And I think when we talk about education, like someone listening to this, so anyone listening to our conversation right now, that's education. Because we're showing that we're still human. I mean, I eat chocolate every day. Well, I'm not giving up my chocolate. You know, I'm still human, and I'm not gonna restrict myself. Yes, okay, I've been ill recently, so my appetite's not been what it should be, but it's temporary just because my body's like, ugh, I don't feel so good right now. So it's having a little bit of a reset. So you have to take all of your normal things that happen in life as well. And if you could give like a piece of advice or a kind of message or something that to give one of us fellow women some inspiration, what do you do with your own clients in that respect?
I think it kind of does come back to that stop chasing perfection. You know, everyone is different. Everyone's routines are different. You know, when you're comparing a busy mum who maybe doesn't have that much time at all for themselves or time in their day, very much fall into the bottom of the pile in terms of priority. And then you're talking about maybe a student, for example, who may have a lot more time on their hands, doesn't necessarily have a huge amount of responsibility. You know, their lives are very different. But the kind of message is the same in that if you are wanting to exercise or, you know, think about your nutrition, stop chasing perfection and know what your own kind of lifestyle and your own situation is. Very much stop comparing yourself to others, because even the two of them that would maybe compare themselves, but oh, that person goes to the gym so much more. Yeah, but you've got 3 kids, so you can't be doing that. So just stop chasing perfection. Pick some non-negotiables, so get some movement in some way, whatever that looks like for you. You know, if that is 10 minutes 3 times a week, great. You know, that's maybe better than what it has been previously. If you can be consistent at that, that is better than nothing. So very much just kind of plan things in that you can realistically achieve, and don't aim for perfection. If the plan needs to change, then that's fine. We adapt the plan. You know, you've not failed if you have to miss a gym session or change it, or if you've not hit everything in your kind of nutrition goals. It's progress, not perfection. And, you know, stay in your lane in terms of not comparing yourself to others on social media or someone else that you see, or even your past self. I think it's really important knowing where you are at now. Stop chasing perfection.
Yeah, I love that expression now, and I use it quite a lot for myself. I'm like, Katie, you're not perfect. You're perfectly imperfect. You're not perfectly perfect.
Totally.
And
no one's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, if we were all perfect, it'd be boring. You know, it'd be the same sort of, you know, there'd be no challenge in life. There'd be no like life events that would shape how we are, what we feel. You know, the changes and shifts and mindsets and things that we need to make. So I think we're given a lot of them. I'm certainly feeling powered off the back of this for sure.
Good.
And I always finish with the same question, so I'm actually really, really excited to hear your answer for this. Really
No
excited.
pressure.
So, Alicia, what are your superpowers?
My superpowers. I think one of them is having a positive outlook. Don't get me wrong, there's some days where I'm not so positive, but I very much try to see the good in a situation. I'm very good at being like, right, okay, this is it. I can't deal with it, or I can't like change it. What am I going to do about it? Instead of letting it kind of consume me or like maybe potentially change the way that I act, I'm just like, right, this is where we're at. There's no point getting annoyed or upset or whatever about it because it's happened. I can't control it, something that's out with my control. So what can I maybe do to deal with it? And I think it's always being trying to see the positives and right, we've got a problem. How can we solve that? Instead of fixating on the problem, how can I maybe get some help to do it? Or like, what do I need to do to solve that? So I like to try and have a bit of a positive outlook on everything. And I'm very much a what's for you won't go by you kind of thing. You know, everything happens for a reason. I'm a big believer of that. So I like to kind of trust that, you know, follow my life with that kind of, right, well, everything happens for a reason. So
Yeah.
some things that are out with my control and I just need to deal with it. So I would say that's one of my superpowers. And the other is just, I think, just being a cheerleader for other people. I love it. Like, and it comes very naturally for me. You know, I think women especially, we're very much pitted against each other. And yeah, I know as an understatement, especially in the fitness industry. If you're just a gym goer or a coach, you know, especially women, I feel like we are kind of you compare yourself to each other and we are just pitted against each other. And I love just, you know, cheering for other people. I like to do that on Instagram. I'm just like, yes, you can lift this heavy weight. That's amazing. Yes, you have this next step with your business. That's incredible. And I just like to support other people through that, whether that is, you know, other coaches or whether that is people in my gym being like, yes, like you can do this. I believe in you. And I very much think that's something I'm very good at. And I love doing it. You know, I support people as best as I can. I'll always be a cheerleader and, you know, root for other people to succeed because I think life is too short to do otherwise.
In my other job, yes, I can totally relate to that. I can
Yes, yes,
totally relate
exactly.
to that. So for anyone that's listening or watching our conversation and, you know, I feel like a stalker every time I say this, but where can they stalk you online or, you know, give you a bit of a follow? Like, where can anyone find you that maybe just wants to use that inspiration, that cheerleading that you give out to all of us?
Yeah, so I am mainly on Instagram. So I have two Instagrams. I've got my Stronger by Elisha Scott. That's everything that kind of goes on in the gym. So if you want a nice kind of feel good community vibe, then and everything that we get up to there, then join that page, follow me on that. And then my personal training fitness coach page is Elisha Scott _fit. I was like, what is my Instagram handle?
And that happens all the time. It's like we do fine up to this point and then we lose it.
I've only had it for years. I've only been a PT for 10 years. Yeah, so that's kind of my main page where I kind of post about my own training and I'll share bits and bobs that we do in the gym as well. But yeah, mainly Instagram and Facebook are the same handles as well. So Instagram, Facebook mainly.
Excellent. I will tag them in the notes below for anyone that follows my pattern of stalking. Oh, jeez. Oh, dear. I promise I'm a nice stalker, I know if you want to put it that way. But
I love it.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I've been really, really excited to do this and just put the women empowerment further out there and keep us as women going. So I hope anyone listening has taken so much value away that I have. And just thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. It's great.